For those of you in the States, happy President's Day. This is Mike from Southern California. It is Monday, February the 17th, 2020, and you're on the mic. So, I figured today, well, in this case, this evening, because again, due to circumstances beyond my control, I was not able to record this video until the evening. Um, Yeah, so we got some legal updates for you surrounding the Vic Mignogna case. So I'm gonna go ahead give you those details. Um, they're like as I said, a couple. Well, one is a legal update that does involve a portion of Vic's case. Another one really doesn't have anything to do with Vic's case. It has to do with another situation. But anyways, I figured to give you some updates on a couple of things that have come up over the last week, 5 days or so here. So first off, we found out I think towards the end of I think it was back on the 11th of last week. That apparently um, Jay Sean Lemoyne didn't file his briefs for the cross appeal on the fees. You know, as we all know, Judge Shupp awarded the awarded like fees and sanctions far less than what Lemoyne in particular was asking for. And so he decided to file, he decided to give notice that he would file a cross appeal. Well, apparently he missed the deadline apparently he missed the deadline for it, or was on the, I guess he missed the deadline, and the court basically said that he still had to file the briefs. I don't know if he missed the deadline or he just was late in filing them. But basically, on their cross appeal, in filing the in filing their brief, they have to let the judge know a good reason why they haven't filed their briefs yet for that cross appeal. So basically, they're on the verge of having their cross appeal dropped because they didn't file the briefs on time, is what it basically comes down to. So if they do still plan on filing, if they still plan on pursuing the cross appeal, they have to either file a brief or ask for an extension and give a good reason why they were late in filing the briefs. If they don't do that, it's likely that their cross appeal will be dropped. So that's pretty much the information. And it's kind of funny how how apparently they have time. Like Ron has time to sit there and like um and email Nick for a lot of stuff. For a lot of guys, the Ron versations as we've been seeing of late. But yet, apparently his attorney or attorneys don't have the time to file their briefs on time. And it's kind of funny how a few weeks ago when Ty and Vic's team um, Ty and Vic's team were asked, basically had to file for an extension for their briefs, which they got till tomorrow. That's another couple updates too there, and I'll get to. But and law Twitter was all over time. Oh my goodness, yeah, he's got to file an extension. It's like scandal, It's like that's the way a lot of law Twitter seems to be reacting to it. But in appeals that asking for extensions because they make it sound like this is the only case the firm is working on. Okay, there's probably a lot of cases they're working on, and so they need more time. And the appeals judges did grant them more time. You know, um, but the appeals judges got basically sent out a letter to Monica and Ron's lawyers that, hey, why haven't you filed these briefs yet? You know. Now, the deadline for them to basically file the briefs or ask for an extension and give a good reason why they hadn't yet is due this Friday, February the 21st. That's when it was set. The letter was sent out the 11th, so they gave them 10 days to file their briefs or ask for an extension and give them a good reason why they hadn't done so yet. Aside from that, there's one other deadline that's coming up, and that's tomorrow, the 18th, Tuesday the 18th, for Ty. The Ty was asked for and was granted an extension to file his brief. That deadline is tomorrow. So you got a couple big deadlines this week. Tomorrow is the deadline for for Vic's team to file their briefs in the appeals court, and then this Friday is the deadline for Monica and Ron's legal team to file their briefs for their cross appeal, and they have to give a good reason why they hadn't done so yet or asked for an extension. So that's basically where all that stands in like Vic's case. Vic's case. Now, as I said, legal updates surrounding Vic's case or the Vic situation, because there is one other situation, even though it's not as directly involved with the defamation suit itself. It's on another matter. But as many of you probably, if I'm sure many of you remember, I think last spring, almost a year ago, maybe 10 months ago, so 9, 10 months ago, Mars Girl, also known as Kaylin Delano Salcido, she started up a GoFundMe, and originally the stated purpose of this GoFundMe was to try to track down YouTuber Yellow Flash to sue him for defamation for his coverage of her during the scandal, during the situation with Vic and all her defamation. Um, she initially set the goal at 1,500, but once she hit the goal, and she did hit the goal, she kept it open. She's now up close to like 3 times the amount that she originally set the goal for. Well, we had some news come out over the weekend, thanks to LJ Montello, in that apparently the intent, we were told that that Mars Girl GoFundMe was like the original intent of it was originally to sue Yellow Flash for defamation, but according to LJ Montello, she pretty much let the cat out of the bag. That's not the case. It's for preparation of a possible defamation suit against her. And then LJ Montello comes back. Well, I mean, yeah, he can't sue her in California. Or Ty can't sue because he needs California bar. Well, first off, he could always get those. He could always apply to the Ty could always apply to the California bar. Okay, I remember when Greg Doucette was talking about getting involved in the case and having to go through the process of getting the Texas bar, um, applying to the Texas bar, where he just had to pay a fine. I'm sure it's somewhat similar in California as well. Maybe you just have to like take a test and or pay a registration fee or what have you to get your license. You're a lawyer. So, um, so yeah, so basically, what it comes down to is this: Mars Girl basically committed fraud because her stated purpose was to file a defamation suit, but from what we understand now, it was to defend against. So she, in essence, lied to everybody about her actual intentions for, you know. Now I know some of the things that like yellow that some of the people covered it, like really come geek some talked about it. Um, I think Sammy may have talked about it, where yeah, she has said, well, she can barely feed her husband and she can barely feed her family, feed her cats or what have you. You know, they're on the verge of being kicked out. Yet she had enough money to go to San Diego Comic Con. You know, kind of, again, makes you wonder, doesn't it? Maybe she's committing fraud with that GoFundMe. Hey, GoFundMe, you might want to be looking in at her a little more closer. And apparently, there's also the mysterious update that showed up more recently that was dated June 24th, I think, or something like that, where as back around that time, the update was not visible to everybody, but all of a sudden it is now. Just trying to give her cause more credence. So, yeah. So basically, Marsville is committing fraud when it comes down to it. Because she's not really using the money for what she originally stated the purpose of. And if I was GoFundMe, I'd be looking at that very closely and how that money's being used. Because she's committing fraud on your site. So with that, those are basically the only two things I wanted to talk about, at least in the main part of this. You know, again, basically just to wrap it up and to put everything in more succinct language here. Um, the the deadline for Vic's team to file their briefs is currently tomorrow, unless they ask for an extension and are granted extension. Tomorrow is the deadline for Vic's team to file their briefs with the appellate court. Friday, February the 21st, is the deadline for Monica and Ron's legal team to file their briefs for their cross appeal, and they also or ask for an extension, and they have to give a good reason why they took so long in doing so, or else they run the risk of having their cross appeal dropped. And as we've discovered, is probably to no one's surprise, I would gather, or at least no one on those who are standing with Vic right now. Mars Girl is in essence committing fraud with her GoFundMe. So, with all that said, now let's move on to this day in Nietzsche history. So first off, we go back 70 years ago today. Um, DC Comics, at the time known as National Comics Publications, set out, put out on newsstands, released on newsstands, Girls Love Stories #5 on this date back in 1950, 70 years ago. Now, of course, back in the 40s and 50s, um, aside from, of course, superhero comics, pulp comics, um, humor comics. One of the other genres that they did at the time, and this is kind of on the heels of Valentine's Day, this is kind of interesting too. Um, they would have a lot of these comics geared towards girls slash women. This romance type, girls' love stories is one of them that was um, published by DC at the time, known as National Comics. Be out on newsstands. So yes, here in the states there were like what we might call girly comics, or at least, or not necessarily girly comics, but comics that would be more geared towards women, obviously, or the idea of you know, you know in this case, girls' love stories. The fifth issue of Girls' Love Stories was put out on newsstands on this date back in 1950, 70 years ago. So, moving on then. I would like to wish a happy birthday, a happy 50th birthday to Mexican luchador uh, um, Alacran de Durango. He's a luchador who was born on this date back in 1970. He made his debut March 19th, 1986. He was trained by um, former Mexican national middleweight champion Ringo Mendoza. But anyways, would like to wish a happy 50th birthday to Alacran de Durango. He's born on this date 50 years ago in 1970. And last but not least, on this day in Nietzsche history, on this day back in 2007, Tokyo Tribe 2, the anime adaptation of Tokyo Tribes, of the manga series Tokyo Tribes, finished its broadcast run on Wow Wow. So, on this date back in 2007, Tokyo Tribe 2 would finish its run on Wow Wow. So, its initial Japanese run. So, with all that being said, you can check the links below. You can check the links below. If you want to contact me directly, you can check out my Discord. If you like, you can join my Discord as well. Um, let's see. I'm also promoting a bunch of different dub companies because remember, Funimation's not the only game in town, no matter how much they want you to believe that. It's not the only game in town. I'm also, let's see. I'm also still promoting Vic's GoFundMe as well as the Ortiz family GoFundMe. As always, guys, never feel like you have to donate. If it's on your heart to do so, and you have the means to, please consider donating. If you've already donated, please consider donating again. And if you cannot donate, you can still help out the cause by sharing the link. Because sharing is caring, after all. You never know. Maybe there's somebody in your circle of friends who might say, "Yeah, you know something. He is getting the short end of the stick. I want to help out here." And with that, if you like this content, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Um, I always look forward to the conversation with you guys, as long as it's civil and respectful, of course. I will usually get right back to you as soon as I can. And I hope you guys been enjoying the videos. Anyways, I will see you tomorrow. Bye.